For some of us, the ideal summer's day is a picnic in the garden, perhaps visiting a stately home, going into the park, or in this case, spending the day looking at the most extraordinary collection of Rolls-Royce and Bentley motor cars of all ages from the Rolls-Royce Enthusiast Club, gathered together here at Stansted Park. And for me, that's the perfect summer's day. We're just starting to look at the cars as they're starting to arrive here, and there's some glorious cars here already, but one that I know is being moved imminently. I'm beside the Rolls-Royce owned by Paul Brazier with the interesting number plate D1961, so am I guessing it's a 61 car?
She came out of Mulliner's factory on the 21st of December 1961.
And it's an absolutely beautiful drop head.
Thank you.
How long have you owned the car, sir?
I've owned her about 4 years. I had a hard top before, Series 3, and that went for a service. And when I went to collect her from the service, this was sitting there.
And it was irresistible.
Well, my wife tells me it's the most expensive car service we've ever had.
Have you put a lot of effort into restoring, or did it come sort of more or less complete and you just had to look after it?
She's only done 40,000 miles in 62 years, so she didn't need a lot of work. She's had a little bit here and there, tiny bit of paintwork. The biggest job she's had is we've had the engine out and detailed the engine bay, which was a bit of a job last year.
That's quite a major undertaking.
It was, yeah.
Did you do that yourself or with a local garage?
No, someone helped me do that. We had a specialist do it because it's a bit of a job. We put a rear oil seal on it and did some work to stop it dripping on my garage floor.
I mean, it's a big lump of an engine.
It is.
What's it, 7 litres if I remember right?
Six and a
Something
quarter.
like that.
6 1/4.
6 1/4 litre.
It's big.
Yeah, it's big. Let's just walk down the side, if we may. Just, I just wanted to, seeing as the roof is down, as I say, you're using it imminently.
Yes. Hopefully the bride. Well, she may want it up because, of course, it's the risk is that it might damage her hair.
Well, indeed.
So, but we'll give her the choice.
I don't have enough hair left to worry about.
Mine's well set.
But beautiful inside.
Yeah, she's in lovely condition.
The original leather?
Yes. Yes, completely original inside.
Yeah.
Nothing done internally.
Original hood?
No, the hood was replaced a year or so before I bought her, and the story there is that the chap who replaced the hood it was one of the last things he did before he retired, and he would have put the original hood on because he worked at Mulliner's.
Right, so
story, yeah.
that's a nice connection,
yes,
isn't it?
Yeah, really good.
This is the craftsmanship that you've come to expect from this brand, and which is still the case.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a beautiful car. I fell in love with it when I saw it, and she's a keeper, so not going anywhere.
No. But not an everyday driver. How often do you use it?
During the summer, I try and take her out as much as I can. So she's here today. I've got a show next week, and then she's getting ready for the annual, of course, in June.
Sure.
So she'll be off the roads for a couple of weeks while I get under her and make sure she's clean.
Richard Nash.
Richard, this is a splendid piece.
Thank you.
I just love the lines of it, with the low roof, the wheel spats.
Yeah.
Which coach builder was this?
So it wasn't. It was my design of a Freestone and Webb. So Lord Bamford owns 42PY, which is normally acknowledged as being the most attractive P2. So we liked it, but we wanted to improve it. So we put wheel spats on. We've hidden the hinges, which is a major job when you have an angled B post, and put a sunroof in, plus lots of other things, different wings, whatever.
So this is a Rolls-Royce custom car.
Well, I'm afraid they all were.
Yeah.
You know, you got your chaps to build the body you want. You took their advice, which I've taken lots of advice from some incredibly experienced and brilliant workmen who you've never heard of because they don't advertise. They are secret people.
For our younger viewers and listeners, I have to explain that whereas a modern car you buy and the car is complete, or at least you hope it is when you pay for it, when Rolls-Royce started in the early 1900s, and certainly I guess up until about the Second World War, you essentially bought engine, transmission, chassis, and then took it to your coach builder.
That's right.
For the design that you particularly wanted.
That's right. And you could get the design, and you could amend it, but most of the coach builders wanted to do the same design. Some were very specially built, and this is what we've aimed for in this.
So, and I do love the spats on this. I think it's really, really just goes so well with the car. And that lowered roof, you can see where the gangster look. I mean, those Packards of that period were
absolutely.
like that.
But the shape of the roof and the shape of the car itself is a copy of 42PY. And even the large back window, we were a bit worried that it was too big because pre-war cars had small back windows, but now Freestone and Webb built that in 1935, I think. So we've copied that, and it's not too outrageous.
This is a work of many years, by the sounds of it.
15 years or so.
15 years you put it.
It's my third. I've got two more.
So a terrific amount of time, a terrific amount of money, I'm guessing.
Yes, I don't talk.
Not go there?
I don't want to go there. But it doesn't matter. It's lovely to see it, and with the sun shining, it does glisten quite a bit.
If nothing else, you've done something very spectacular with the car, with all due reference to the brand. And interestingly, of course, Rolls-Royce, a large part of their output now are bespoke cars.
Yes, absolutely.
Custom cars, if you like.
People have always been able to afford it. I'm sure I couldn't in the day, but if it takes quite a few years, you can save up enough pennies and make it worthwhile.
Mr. Tucker, the family is sitting here having a picnic out of the back of your Rolls-Royce, which it caught my eye as an ex-carpenter, the beautiful joinery on it. But let's establish what Rolls-Royce would have called this, because it might be sort of estate car, shooting brake. There are all kinds of ways of describing what is essentially a woody.
Yeah.
Or in Americana, it will be a woody.
Yeah, it wasn't made by Rolls-Royce.
Okay.
It started life as a limousine.
Right.
And was converted by the owner, Lord Ampthill, to a shooting brake by possibly the Golden Arrow Motor Body Company, but they were advertised as the Belgravia.
Oh, that's rather grand. But for use on one's estate,
Yeah.
not in the town.
No, it was originally a 10-seater, had a bench seat in the front,
Right.
2 seats behind, so you could access the rear from the left passenger rear door, and 4 seats in the back. But unfortunately, I didn't know that when I rebuilt it. So I rebuilt it in rather a more luxurious style.
With the full complement of seats, one would have taken one's shooting party out for a little bit of grouse shooting or
Something like that.
something like that.
Yeah. Its owner was Lord Ampthill, which I believe is an Irish peerage.
Right.
And I think he had estates in Ireland, but I'm not sure whether this car actually went to Ireland, because he's also got estates in this country.
But you've rebuilt it.
Yes. I had to take the
quite
roof off.
extensively by the looks of
I
it.
had to take the roof off, because when you open the doors, the A-frames there was 4 inches of lateral movement.
That was quite a lot.
And so I stripped off all the bulkhead and took all the screws out and replaced it with bolts. So glue and bolts. So it's now good and solid.
Quite solid.
I made a new roof for it, although I managed to rescue all the bits that go fore and aft.
Right.
But all the cross pieces are new, the top tailgate is new, and the waistline is new from the B post to the back.
What wood is it? Is it ash?
Ash, yeah.
I thought so. So, Morris Traveller, but rather upgraded.
Yes, well, what
It's
we
the
say,
same wood.
if somebody doesn't really understand what we're talking about, we say, well, if you know a Morris Traveller, think of something about 3 times the size.
Certainly rather grander. You've put an awful lot of time. How many years have you been working on this?
I acquired it in 2011, started work in 2012, and got it on the road in 2020. But that was mostly working in the winter months, because during the summer we're doing daft things like this.
I mean, it's
Touring around.
very much a labour of love, though, isn't it? And presumably quite substantial investment.
I don't know, I've never totaled it up.
No,
But
and you don't want to.
don't really want to, no. It's one of those things that if I needed it, I had to have it, you know.
It's proved its worth here. It is the perfect picnic vehicle.
Oh, it is, yes, yes.
Well, thank you very much for your time, sir.
You're very welcome.
And I'm pleased to see the family enjoying the family car.
Yes, quite.
It's the way it should be.
My name's Michael Ensor.
Well, hello, Michael. Nice to meet you. And
It's my wife Sue.
Your wife Sue's sitting in the car reading a book. Quite the way to spend a quiet Sunday.
Very pleasant place to come.
This
Lovely
is-
to
this is
Stansted
a
Park.
Gorgeous car, isn't it? This is
Thank you very much.
1920s. late-
1928. It's a 1928 20 horsepower, and I've had it for 4 years.
And obviously put a lot of time and effort into it.
I bought it just before lockdown, so I spent most of my lockdown happy in my garage working on the car. When I bought it, it was a bit of a wreck, but during that time I've been able to work from tip to toe, try and get it reliable. And in fact, today is our first major outing that we've
is
actually
it?
done.
Oh,
So it's
congratulations.
quite a long journey to get here. And
Where
everything's
are you from?
We live in Bexhill-on-Sea, so it's a nice 70-mile journey through the lovely countryside. And I'm very pleased that my vehicles behave very well.
Well, it's nice to hear that you've put so much of your own time into it, because, you know, we hear stories of cars where the owner's just thrown a huge amount of money at it and a huge amount of experts. I much prefer those stories where somebody has said, oh, well, I've got some time on my hands, I'll do it.
Yeah. I've done a lot of it myself, but obviously if there's something particularly difficult, then I've got a specialist in St Leonard's at just historic cars. I might as well give them a mention. And they did a lot for me. And last year I held the whole engine out and they rebuilt the engine, so that was good. And this year, because I've got now an engine that really works well, I thought I'd better get the brakes sorted out so I can stop. So this year they've actually replaced all the brake linings, and I've got the servo linings have also done. So the brakes are actually now quite good, so I'm pleased about that.
So this has got the steel cycle wings and the steel
Yep.
bonnet and obviously
Yep.
the radiator surround. But that looks suspiciously to me like a material.
I think it is. Yes, it is. It's. I think it's supposed to be leather, but I think it's artificial leather on a aluminium frame. I mean, this has had a checkered history, because when it was originally made in 1928, it was a 2-seater doctor's coupe, hard top, with a dicky seat at the back. And within 10 years, that body was removed, and it had a southern manufactured 4-seater drop head. And I've got photographs of both of those of when it was made in 1930s. It went off to Canada, so it's actually shipped out there. And while it was in Canada, it had a catastrophic fire. And the engine was destroyed and the bodywork was destroyed, and it was dumped to the back of a lumber yard for 20 years until somebody in Wales heard about it, and they repatriated this burnt out wreck back to a specialist in Anglesey, and he then put a more modern engine in, but this new sort of Bentley replica Van den Pla body on it, and rebuilt it. But I don't think he ever finished it. So when it was sold in the 1980s, 90s, it changed hands quite a few times because nobody finished it. But when I bought it in 2020, it really just didn't work. So that's why lockdown was brilliant, because I could actually make it work and get it back on the road. So I'm really quite chuffed that it's roadworthy again.
It's a credit to you. I'm interested in the comment that you make there, because it was not at all unusual for these early cars to have 2 or 3 different bodies through the course of their lifetime.
Yeah. No, there's still much more I want to do. Currently, challenge is I'm changing the upholstery, so I'm actually getting some new cushions in there, proper leather, changing the colour from the green to a burgundy colour of leather, green on the outside but burgundy on the inside. So I'm sure I will keep improving it.
I'm sure you will. I mean, it's a labour of love, isn't it? And I do like the hood. Clearly, that's a new hood.
That is a new hood, yes.
Beautifully made.
Thank you very much. So, again, we've got a...
Now, you're not going to tell me you sewed that yourself,
No, I didn't do it myself. No. There's a specialist in St Leonard's on Sea called Dave Upton, and he and his father specialised in upholstery, and he made that hood and all the tonneau cover for me.
Beautiful job. They've done really well. Always nice to hear stories of craftsmanship. Thank you very
much. Brilliant.
Thank you for
Thank you for giving me the chance to talk the story.
Your name, sir?
David Negus.
1980 Silver Shadow 2. It's absolutely pristine in the white.
Wasn't the colour I would have chosen, but I felt a bit sorry for it because it was a bit down at heel when we got it, so tried to improve it since we've had it.
So what have you actually done to the car?
We've had seals, wheel arches, it's had the wood done, it's had carpets, lambswool rugs.
A lot of time and money gone into it.
And all under the bonnet, all the hydraulics, carburettors rebuilt.
I mean, the sort of Rolls-Royce of that age is affordable, but you've got to then put a lot of money into it.
It was affordable to buy.
Yeah.
It was an impresario owned the car to start with, had it new, and he put on a lot of country music and other music festivals in the 60s and 70s, and knew Johnny Cash and Roberta Flack, and I tracked him down and contacted him, and he replied to my letter, which was quite good of him, and told me a list of all the famous people that had been in the car, including Johnny Cash many times.
Oh, it's interesting, Johnny Cash in this very car.
Yes.
That's quite a history.
It is a little bit. He does add a bit of colour to it, isn't it?
How long has it taken you to bring it up to standard?
A fair 5 or 6 years, I would say. But so you can attack it or get it done all in one go. But
have you done most of it yourself?
Not much of it, no, because I can't keep it at home, unfortunately, because I haven't got a big enough garage. So
There's the automatic assumption if you've got a Rolls-Royce of any vintage, you've got a big garage.
Yeah, I did have a big garage, but I haven't anymore. So someone else looks after it for me, and they look after some quite exotic machinery. So
I mean, the white always suggests sort of wedding car. Was that ever in your thinking?
No, I think it's definitely done weddings because it's always been this colour. As it's definitely done weddings in its past, but not with me.
No.
I didn't get it for that. So.
No, it's presumably just family outings like this?
Yes, exactly.
Nice big boat. Pleasure to see the picnic coming out of it. I noticed you've got Rolls-Royce mugs as well. Yeah. What could be better?
Right, and I'd got that. I found it in the cupboard.
Well, I'm disturbing your picnic lunch.
Fine.
Enjoy your lunch. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Michael Sapsford.
Michael, this is a particularly lovely looking Bentley. A lot of effort gone into this. Beautiful colour scheme, but very much the two-door coupe of the time.
I think it was very much 1930s Art Deco, really. The sweeping panel and the door handles with the sort of chiselled edges and that sort of thing. It was just redolent of the period, wasn't it? Middle 30s, and that's...
Very much of those Grand Routiers.
That's right, yes. Yeah. And we were very lucky to have met the family of the original owner.
Right.
And I didn't meet the second owner, unfortunately. The second owner kept it for 45 years. So, in fact, it's only done 90,000 miles now.
That's extraordinary.
But, of course, it's been repainted and reupholstered, neither of which I did. But I have overhauled the engine and things for it now. And so we've got it running really very well.
So you've done a lot of the work on it yourself?
Oh, all the mechanical work I do myself, that's right, yes. Yeah.
So how long have you owned it?
About 12 years, something like that, I think, yes.
And clearly invested a lot of time in it because it's absolutely pristine, isn't it?
Well, whoever painted it made a very good job of it. So, in fact, it was painted nearly 40 years ago. I mean, you consider the paint's 40 years old, and it's lasted very well indeed, yes.
40 years?
40 years, 1983, 84. The widow of the second owner finally sold it. They bought it in 1937, she said, and after the war they were thinking of buying a new Bentley, but in fact this one was so much admired and they liked it, so they sent it down to Hythe Road Service Depot and had it completely overhauled, and they kept it for years and years and years after that.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I have to say, if you're keeping that paintwork to that condition, you have some spectacularly good polish somewhere.
It's just well done in the first place.
Yeah.
And we had to touch up one or two little bits, but really it's pretty much as it
Did you have to do much inside?
Next to the owner before me, unfortunately, stored it in the damp.
Oh.
And the leather got this sort of white mould on it.
Yes.
Which was why I was able to buy it, luckily. But in fact, in the end, I tried recolouring it, but it didn't work. So I had to get the leather matched, and we recovered the front seats and that sort of thing.
Right.
Had to be done again, which is a shame, really, because
a pity, but
one likes to have original leather. It gives a
indeed
tremendous character to a car.
But given the fact that the rest of it is in such good condition, it would have been a shame to let it down with a poor
it would
interior.
show up, wouldn't it? That's right. Yeah.
Wonderful car. Suicide doors, as was common in those days.
Absolutely, that's right. It's interesting. It's got a double catch on the doors to try and prevent any problems. And you've got your normal door lock here,
Right.
and another one down there. Look.
Can we have a look under the
Of course,
one?
yes. There we are. That's pretty much as it was.
And you look after this and do all of
I've
this
overhauled
yourself?
the engine, that's why I took it out. And,
Oh, you've had the engine all the way out?
oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This young lady who told me about her husband and this sort of thing, she said she had a local garage who she trusted, and unfortunately that trust was misplaced. They obviously never changed the oil or anything. It was right badly worn when I actually got inside to have a look. But anyway, so we've overhauled it all now, and it's settling down, running very well. It's done about 5,000 or 6,000 miles since.
Well, it's a great credit to you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A wonderful car. We've spent a very pleasant day here looking around some Rolls-Royces, almost back to the earliest days of the brand, but now we come to the other end of the age spectrum, and we're standing beside one of the very newest from the factory. Your name, sir?
Andy Toy.
Andy, tell us about the car. This is...
Welcome. Thanks so much for coming along. What a fantastic turnout. It's so good to see the history of Rolls-Royce here as well. We have here the new Ghost. So this is our Ghost in its bespoke design, which is bespoke colouring with the Tucana purple and the lime yellow. We've also gone back to old school with the pinstripe tyre, which enhances the look of the wheel. But Ghost is all about four-wheel drive, four-wheel steer. Ghost is one of our most dynamic drives that we've actually ever produced. We have a double dampener system at the front end to help it turn and handle much better. The four-wheel steer helps this. It's a 6.75 litre V12 engine, creating 561 brake horsepower.
The one makes all the
Yeah,
difference.
it's but also we have 800 newton meters of torque. There's 200 kilos of sound deadening through the whole vehicle. In fact, when we made the car and we designed the car, it was so amazingly quiet. We have acoustic gel filled tyres in the front and acoustic wheel arches all round. The reason we don't have the acoustic gel in the rear is because we had to create sound back into the car because it was so quiet. So we've only put the acoustic gel in the front, not in the rear of Ghost.
You mentioned bespoke. One of the things we've been talking about today has been the fact that all the earlier cars, and certainly through the 20s, 30s and so on, were all pretty much bespoke.
Yeah, coach
And
build
now
bespoke.
that is exactly what Rolls-Royce is doing again.
It's sort of gone full circle really. So we were doing Rolls-Royce, and now we've gone in. Then we went into bespoke, which is all to do with colouring, paints, interior materials with the bespoke. The team at Goodwood, headed up by Chris Corduroy, is an amazing team, and they put different colours together and they try different combinations, and it's just opening up the whole new world. And then of course one step on from that, you can then do coach build, which a lot of these old vehicles were coach built. You know, you bought the chassis and then you built them up, and Rolls-Royce have gone back to that now and still doing coach build. So we've got many projects in the future.
It is extraordinary, that turnaround, isn't it?
Fascinating
Although
as well.
I think Rolls-Royce are keeping more of the coach building within house rather.
That's right, yeah. It's definitely within house now, so they do everything within house. But it's also really fascinating as well. 120 years, the very first car that was ever built by Rolls was an electric vehicle. He couldn't get over an internal combustion engine, so it was all a battery created vehicle to show how good his engineering prowess was. And now we've gone full circle with Spectre and our new electric vehicle as well, and it all ties in really, really nicely. But we also keep the history with Rolls-Royce as well. So when you look at the cars, we still have the organ plunger opening, closing for the vents, which is the same in most of the cars here. We also have the little key on the side of the door, which is very similar to the older vehicles. So there's much history about it. We even, when we go to the dealers all over the world, I go to the dealers all over the world, and we teach the people in the showrooms that showing the lady respect. The lady on the front of the car, Spirit of Ecstasy, you should always walk around the back of the car and not across the front of the car, because you always show lady respect.
Yeah.
And that's right from the very early beginnings of Rolls-Royce. He always wanted to show the lady respect.
No, that's lovely that should be the case, and all of those traditions are still there. And now Rolls-Royce are selling more cars than they've ever done, with a greater diversity of finishes and fits and than I think they've ever done. And the brand is selling very, very well worldwide.
As you can see from this colour, we do 43,000 different colours. So I understand it that any colour in the world that you mix, you can only ever make 43,000 different colours. I think it's slightly changed more now, because we've now started developing in the ice finish, or the ice look, which is like a matte finish. But then with a matte finish, you can have crystal added into it over the top. So, you've gone away from metallic, but you can have crystal added. There's all these different things that they're now starting to play with that work together.
Suddenly you're in sort of hot rod and custom car builder territory.
Exactly.
You'll be Dayglow Metallic Flake next.
Exactly. The colours we produce now are incredible. The paint team are amazing. The leather teams are amazing. And just even with the woodwork inside, They've just pushed boundaries. We even do a finish now with a copper wire through it, which looks incredible when the sunlight hits it in the dashboard. On the dashboard, the sunlight hits it. It just really sparkles. It's got this like a reddy glow to it. It's incredible.
I can remember standing in the factory, well, actually before it was even completed. There were a lot of craftsmen there then. The number of craftsmen in all areas of the construction is extended exponentially, hasn't it, over the years?
Yeah, definitely, and we're still still moving forward with bringing in new people, new ideas, new designs, new materials. As we're starting to work with new materials interior wise, not just the leather side. We're starting to look into more sustainable and reusable materials within, which you'll see over the next few months that will start being released.
I like the fact that it's also brought a lot of work into the area and a lot of apprenticeships.
It does, and the apprenticeships, the apprenticeships can move through so quickly, and they do so well at learning at Rolls-Royce. So it's very, very beneficial.
Long may it continue. Thank you for talking to us about the car.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you very much.
Take off your hat. Take off your hat.